The chandelier light sparkled above as Elena's trembling hands adjusted Noah's blanket. She thought today would heal old wounds, not open deeper ones. Vanessa's laughter, cold and sharp, sliced through the polished silence of the dining hall. Trash belongs where it came from, she whispered, eyes on the baby. The words didn't just sting. They broke something inside Elena. Her lips quivered, but she refused to cry. In that moment, surrounded by glitter and cruelty, she realized this wasn't family. It was theater. As Vanessa smirked, Elena stood up, her heart pounding. She looked at her baby and silently vowed, "They'll see what real class looks like soon." Rain soaked Elena's shoes as she walked home, but she didn't flinch. Each drop seemed to wash away a layer of humiliation. She could still hear Vanessa's words echoing, cruel and crisp, but she refused to let them define her. Noah stirred in her arms, his warmth anchoring her. She whispered to him softly, promising that no one would ever call him trash again, not while she lived. Tonight, something inside her shifted. She was done being small. Inside her small apartment, Elena laid Noah gently in his crib. The walls were bare, but the space felt real, warm, with love, honest in its simplicity. She took a deep breath, staring at the cracked mirror above the dresser. "You don't need her approval," she whispered to her reflection. For the first time, she believed it. Her heart ached, but beneath the ache was something stronger. Dignity. Her phone buzzed. A message from Vanessa. "Don't show your face again." Elena stared at the screen, then smiled faintly. She typed nothing back. Sometimes silence is the loudest answer. She turned off the light, letting the quiet hum of rain and Noah's breathing fill the room. It wasn't revenge she wanted. It was peace. Morning came quietly. Sunlight spilled through the curtains, painting the room gold. Elena watched Noah giggle in his crib, his joy pure and untouched. She wasn't sure how yet, but she knew she would. She had something Vanessa would never understand. A heart unbreakable by hate. The morning light did little to erase the sting of the night before. Elena moved through her small kitchen, trying to start her day as if nothing had happened. The kettle hissed softly, and the familiar hum of the city outside her window reminded her that life, stubborn as ever, goes on. But beneath her steady motions, her mind replayed every word Vanessa had thrown like knives. She wasn't angry anymore, just empty. Yet, when Noah's laughter echoed from the living room, something inside her stirred again. Maybe she couldn't control what people said, but she could control what her son would hear. And from now on, he'd only hear love. Later that afternoon, the doorbell rang. Elena hesitated. No one ever visited unannounced. When she opened the door, Ethan stood there, holding a small basket of fresh bread. "You forgot this at the community bake sale," he said with an easy smile. She hadn't forgotten. She'd left early to hide her tears. Ethan didn't ask questions. He simply placed the basket on her counter and said, "You look like you need someone to talk to." For the first time in days, she felt seen, not as someone broken, but as someone trying to stand again. They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table, sipping tea that had long gone cold. Elena tried to keep her voice steady as she told Ethan what happened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix it. He just listened. Eyes steady, jaw tight, as if her pain physically hurt him. When she finished, there was silence. Then he said softly, "Real class isn't what you wear, Elena. It's how you rise." The words sank deep, settling in a place that had been empty for too long. She smiled faintly, a fragile but honest smile, the kind that comes when hope tiptoes back in. That night when Noah was asleep, Elena sat by the window, the city lights twinkling below like 1,000 possibilities. She replayed Ethan's words again and again. "It's how you rise. She thought about Vanessa's polished smile, her perfect house, and how empty it all seemed now. Maybe true beauty wasn't in what people showed. It was in what they endured. Elena picked up her old notebook, covered in scribbles and ideas from a life she'd once dreamed of. She opened it and began to write. Each word felt like a piece of herself, returning. Days passed quietly, but something had shifted in Elena. She started baking again for the community cafe, laughing softly when Noah's tiny hands reached for dough. When Vanessa's messages popped up, she didn't read them. She didn't need to. Her silence was her strength now. Every loaf she baked, every word she wrote, was proof she could rise without tearing anyone down. And in her heart, she knew. This was just the beginning of her lesson in grace. Elena never meant to look. But when she opened social media, Vanessa's perfect world stared back at her. Smiling family portraits, shimmering gowns, endless vacations. Each picture whispered the same lie: perfection. But as she scrolled further, she noticed the cracks. An absent husband in recent photos, captions filled with forced cheer. For the first time, Elena saw not the woman who insulted her, but the sister who was desperately pretending. She closed the phone, exhaling softly. Pity replaced anger. It didn't excuse the cruelty, but it explained the pain behind it. Maybe Vanessa wasn't winning. Maybe she was drowning. A memory surfaced, one she hadn't thought of in years. Elena was 16, standing in their childhood bedroom, holding a crumpled scholarship letter. Vanessa had found it first, torn it in half, and said, "You don't need dreams, you need reality." Back then, Elena thought Vanessa was just mean. Now she understood. Vanessa had feared being left behind. Their whole lives, her sister's cruelty had been a shield for her own insecurity. Elena whispered into the quiet, "You don't have to win anymore, Ness." It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was the beginning of it. That evening, Ethan stopped by again, bringing coffee and quiet company. Elena told him about the memory, about how everything between her and Vanessa had always been a competition she never wanted. Ethan listened, then said, "Maybe she called your baby trash because she couldn't stand that something so pure came from a life she didn't understand." The truth landed heavy, but clear. Elena realized her sister's judgment had never been about her. It had been about Vanessa's own emptiness. For the first time, Elena felt compassion instead of shame. The next morning, Elena found herself standing outside their old family home. A small white house that once held both love and rivalry. She hadn't been there in years. The garden was overgrown. The swing they used to fight over rusted and still. She ran her fingers along the chipped fence, feeling time slip through her touch. She didn't need Vanessa to say sorry anymore. She just needed to let go of the girl who'd spent her life trying to be enough. That night, Elena tucked Noah into bed and lingered by his side longer than usual. She realized she was rewriting history with him, giving him the love she and Vanessa never knew how to give each other. As Noah's small hand wrapped around her finger, she whispered, "You'll grow up knowing kindness, not comparison." The words felt like a promise. She kissed his forehead and smiled through her tears. Healing didn't come in grand gestures. It came quietly. In moments like this, the envelope arrived on a Thursday, slipped beneath her door like an unexpected memory. A formal invitation, Vanessa's charity gala. Elena stared at the embossed lettering, her heart tightening. She could have thrown it away. She could have ignored it. But instead, she placed it on the table and smiled faintly. The old Elena would have stayed home, too afraid to walk into Vanessa's world again. Not anymore. She wasn't going to prove her worth. She already knew it. Now, she wanted to show her sister what grace really looked like when it walked in quietly and didn't need permission to shine. Later that day, Elena showed the invitation to Ethan. "You're really going?" he asked, brows raised. She nodded, her voice steady. "I need to." He studied her for a moment, then smiled. Then go, but go as yourself. His words sank deeper than he knew. That evening, Elena stood in front of the mirror, studying her reflection, not to criticize, but to understand. She saw every scar, every sleepless night, every quiet victory. She didn't see weakness anymore. She saw the woman who survived it all and still chose kindness. The next morning, Elena visited a small thrift shop downtown. She wasn't looking for a gown to impress anyone. She wanted something that felt like her. Among rows of glittering fabric, she found it. A long, pale blue dress with simple lace sleeves. It wasn't designer, but it shimmered like hope under the shop lights. When she tried it on, she caught her reflection and smiled. Not because she looked rich, but because she looked radiant. True beauty, she realized, never needed a label. The evening before the gala, Elena sat on her balcony, watching the sunset. The city glowed beneath her, alive and unbothered. She thought about the girl she once was, the one who wanted Vanessa's approval so badly it broke her. That girl was gone. In her place was a woman who finally knew her worth, not because of wealth or praise, but because of the love she gave and the strength she carried. As the sky deepened into gold and violet, Elena whispered to herself, "Tomorrow, I'll walk in with my head high and my heart open." The morning of the gala arrived quietly. Elena dressed with care, not rush. Her blue gown pressed, her hair gathered in a soft bun. She lifted Noah into his crib, kissed his forehead and whispered, "Mama's going to show them what real class looks like." Ethan appeared at her door, offering a ride, his smile saying, "Everything words couldn't." As they drove away, Elena looked out at the city passing by, heart steady. She wasn't walking into her sister's world anymore. She was walking into her own. The gala shimmered under crystal lights, a perfect world painted in gold. Elena stepped through the glass doors, her heart steady, her breath calm. He didn't belong here. And that was exactly why she stood out. Every head turned as she walked past the crowd in her pale blue gown, simple yet stunning against the sea of glittering fabric. Vanessa's voice floated from across the hall, laughter sharp and practiced. When their eyes met, the room seemed to still. Vanessa smiled that familiar, calculated smile. But this time, Elena didn't shrink. She smiled back. Quietly, powerfully, the kind of smile that didn't need to prove anything. Elena made her way through the crowd, exchanging polite nods and warm smiles. Every word she spoke carried quiet assurance. Nothing forced, nothing rehearsed. When Vanessa approached, flanked by her wealthy friends, her tone dripped with charm. "Elena, I didn't think you'd actually come." Elena met her gaze evenly. "You invited me. I thought it'd be rude not to." A few of Vanessa's friends exchanged glances. Beneath the glimmer and champagne, Elena's calm poise unsettled her sister more than anger ever could. Sometimes grace was the loudest form of defiance. Dinner began with crystal clinks and forced laughter. Vanessa boasted about her charity, her house, her new projects. Elena listened quietly, her smile never fading. But when Vanessa made a pointed joke, something about people who mistake humility for poverty, the table chuckled. Elena didn't flinch. She leaned forward and said gently, "Humility isn't poverty, Vanessa. It's freedom." The words landed softly but carried weight. The table fell silent, even Vanessa's laughter faltering. Elena sipped her water calmly, her reflection steady in the glass. For the first time, she wasn't reacting. She was leading. When the music started, Ethan appeared beside her. He'd volunteered at the event, helping with setup. Elena blinked in surprise, but he just smiled and whispered, "Thought I'd make sure you weren't facing lions alone." They danced slowly, laughter weaving between them like light. Vanessa watched from a distance, her expression cracking, envy flickering behind her perfect mask. Elena wasn't rich, but she glowed. Not because of the dress or the man beside her, but because she carried peace that no wealth could buy. As the night drew to a close, Elena found herself on the terrace, the city lights shimmering below. Vanessa approached silently, her heels clicking against the marble. "You think you're better than me now?" she whispered. Elena turned, her voice soft but firm. "No, Vanessa. I just finally stopped believing I was worse." The silence that followed was heavier than anger. It was truth. Vanessa's face fell, eyes darting away. Elena didn't gloat. She simply smiled, nodded once, and walked away, leaving her sister standing alone among the glitter that suddenly meant nothing. The morning after the gala, whispers spread faster than champagne had the night before. Vanessa's husband hadn't shown up, and someone had mentioned seeing him with another woman at the same hotel chain sponsoring the event. Social media buzzed with speculation, her picture-perfect image unraveling thread by thread. Elena saw the posts but didn't smile. This wasn't victory. It was sadness in disguise. Vanessa had spent her life building walls made of glitter, and now they were crumbling in public. Elena knew humiliation too well to ever wish it on someone else. By afternoon, the calls started. Vanessa didn't answer the reporters or her friends, but when she finally called Elena, her voice trembled. "They're saying awful things about me," she whispered. Elena listened, heart heavy. She could have reminded her sister of every cruel word, every judgment, but she didn't. "Then stop trying to prove them wrong," Elena said gently. "Just start being honest." Silence followed, broken only by Vanessa's quiet sob. Sometimes kindness felt heavier than anger, because it left no room to hide. Later that evening, Elena showed up at Vanessa's home without warning. The door opened to reveal a woman who looked nothing like the polished socialite from the gala. Vanessa's mascara had streaked, her once perfect hair tangled. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Elena held out a small container. "You forgot to eat last night." Vanessa stared, disbelief softening into shame. No grand speech followed. No apology demanded. Just the quiet exchange between two sisters finally seeing each other as human, not rivals. They sat together on Vanessa's velvet couch, the silence stretching but not uncomfortable. Vanessa spoke first, her voice shaking. "You must think I'm awful." Elena shook her head. "I think you're hurt." Tears welled in Vanessa's eyes. For the first time, her walls cracked completely. "I just didn't want to be forgotten," she whispered. Elena reached across the space between them and took her hand. "You were never forgotten, Ness. You just stopped letting people love you." The words settled like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Before leaving, Elena stood by the door, holding Vanessa's gaze. "You don't have to be perfect, you know," she said softly. "Sometimes being real is enough." Vanessa nodded, her tears finally falling freely. "You're stronger than I ever was," she whispered. Elena smiled gently. "No, Ness. We're just different kinds of strong." As she stepped into the evening air, Elena realized she didn't need an apology anymore. She'd already won. Not through revenge, but through grace. That was what real class looked like. A week passed since that night. The world had already moved on from Vanessa's scandal, but inside her, the storm still raged. Then, one afternoon, Elena heard a soft knock. Vanessa stood at the door, holding a small stuffed bear. "For Noah," she murmured. The air hung heavy between them. Apology, pride, love, all tangled in silence. Elena stepped aside, and for the first time in years, Vanessa entered without pretending. She sat on the couch, eyes downcast, and whispered, "I'm sorry." The words were fragile, trembling, but real. Elena's heart softened instantly. Sometimes forgiveness wasn't spoken, it was felt. They talked for hours. Really talked. For the first time in years. Vanessa confessed how much she'd envied Elena's peace. How she had chased admiration because she didn't know how to love herself. Elena listened, her hands folded on her lap, every word stitching their bond back together. "You don't have to prove anything anymore," Elena said quietly. Vanessa nodded, tears falling freely now. The distance that once felt impossible between them finally closed. Two sisters no longer rivals, just human, flawed, and healing. A few days later, Vanessa joined Elena at the community cafe, where she now sold her baked goods. People smiled and greeted Elena warmly, thanking her for her pastries. Vanessa watched in quiet awe. The genuine affection, the simple joy. "You built all this?" she asked softly. Elena nodded, smiling, piece by piece. For the first time, Vanessa didn't see simplicity as failure. She saw it as strength. The love surrounding her sister was the kind money could never buy, and it humbled her. Weeks later, the sisters returned to their old family home together. The garden was still overgrown, but this time, they didn't see decay. They saw beginnings. Vanessa laughed softly as Noah toddled through the grass, chasing a butterfly. "He's beautiful," she whispered. Elena smiled. "He's everything." The silence between them wasn't painful anymore. It was peaceful. Two women who had once fought for the world's approval now found contentment in a simple afternoon, with sunlight, laughter, and a child who would never know their bitterness, only their love. That evening, Elena tucked Noah into bed and sat beside him. The soft hum of crickets outside blending with his gentle breathing. Vanessa stood in the doorway, smiling through her tears. "You showed me what real class looks like," she whispered. Elena turned, her voice a whisper of peace. "It's not about how high you stand, Vanessa. It's about how deeply you love." Vanessa nodded, stepping forward to kiss Noah's forehead before leaving quietly. Elena sat for a long while, watching her son sleep, the night wrapped in gold. Her life wasn't perfect, but it was honest, and that was everything.